All right, people. So, got another banger. It's a longer one as well. This one is a sales training I did for a sales coaching company. I have a lot of these reach out for help to train their guys and girls. And with my experience being one of the top closers in the sales space for the past 2, 3 years, I just came in, shared some knowledge. So, you're going to hear a bit about my journey, but more importantly, a few key things when it comes to sales. One, how do you handle people with no pain, right? And what the fuck is pain, right? Um, how do you become a top closer in the shortest amount of time? And yeah, how to overcome certain objections that pretty much 80% of the space struggle with. So you're going to get all of this. It's about an hour and a half. It's only for those that actually want to make money and, sell well or are interested in what the fuck I do. Because some of you guys see me and you're like, what the hell does this guy do? How is he in Dubai? How has he changed his life? Blah, 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 blah. Well, this is part of the shit that helped me do that. So if you're interested, get something to eat or whatever, or listen to it in the background while you're, gymming or whatever you do. And you'll pick up some gems in terms of how to sell, how to present yourself better. Because honestly, I believe sales is one of four of the most important skills you can ever have in your life. And if you master this, you're set. So that's all. Chat to you guys in the next one.
There we go. What is up, you guys? Michael just finishing a quick call.
Just calling. That's it.
All good. How's everyone doing? Ivan, we can't see you. We need to see your smile. Come on.
Come on, boys. Cameras on. Let's go. Hello.
Hello.
There we go. Dan is there. What's up? With the hat and the headset, everything's there. Got a few more people. Few people are hoping for no-shows on their closing calls, I've been told. So we'll just jump right in, guys. We'll start Q&A, pretty much anything you guys want to ask. We've got a few topics prepared also. But yeah,
Yeah,
I already
well,
had an introduction, but let's give it a second one.
yeah, sure. And I'll talk about a few things first, and then we'll go into Q&A just because Nick's told me a bit about what some of you guys might be struggling with. But um, yeah, we'll kick straight into things. If this is this everyone before we start,
Hmm,
basically?
a few more people who join late, but as of right now, we can get started.
Cool.
And
Well,
we want to reward the people who are on time, right?
yeah, no, for sure. Well, look, I'll introduce myself before I go into anything because I think it's important uh, you understand who's like giving you advice because there's a lot of people that just chat a lot of shit in this space, right? So let me share my screen and let's go into some stuff here. So, a bit about me. I've included some. This is a very old slide I made like a year ago or something like this, but this is some of the companies I've worked at. I'm Ahmed, by the way, from the UK, been in sales for maybe like I don't know now, 6, 7 years maybe overall, right? As a full-time closer, about three. And yeah, I've sold at a few companies. I've had Jeremy Miner's team at seventh level, worked for him, one of the top reps there. Had companies like Mind Valley reach out for help. If you guys know who Robert Kiyosaki is, I've had his team reach out for me. Like lots of these influencers in the space that reach out for help. But the only reason why they're doing that is because I spent a shit ton of time getting good at the skill set. Because without the skill set, you're not getting these opportunities. Um, Brief backstory. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but sales wasn't actually what I wanted to start with. I was going to go into like a massive career with economics and banking and all that stuff. But I saw people making money online, and I was like, okay, look, there's something here. I tried to set up a marketing agency, got some results that went to shit. Then I found sales, and I was like, you know what, this I can use the skills I learned from marketing in the marketing agency, and just be a full-time closer. And honestly, that changed my life. Like I've had lots of mentors, like you can see in the screenshot here. If you guys know who Bill Walsh was, he was one of my first mentors in the space. It didn't take me too long to start hitting some good numbers, which I'll kind of outline that process that I took. Um, in terms of like how much have I made as a sales rep, I think my best months were around like 30K, 35K a month. Um, and naturally that wasn't like at like peak like performance, because obviously there's always things that happen with marketing. But I've had some crazy weeks, like 10K weeks. I've closed some pretty big deals, like 100K packages. So on a Zoom call, having someone wire you 150K, I've done that a few times. Sold different industries. And like what I've basically done in the last year or two is just share my entire process with closers. So people come to me for help. I take them from literally no skills to making 20, 30K a month. But the only reason, again, I just want to emphasize is the skill. So the skill set, because the skill set is literally what opens up the doors for you. So um, that's a brief thing about my history. If you have more questions, save it at the end, just framing, what's to come. Because you can't be closing like 150K on Zoom without having some skill and overcoming some fear objections that come up and all that good stuff. So, yeah. So Nick has told me a few things, right, which we're going to go into. That some of you guys may be struggling with. I will give you guys a chance to unmute now because I don't want this to be a monologue, right? Like, you can confirm if this is true or not. So, I'm hearing some of you guys are struggling with handling like A-type personalities, or those that are not much in pain. Maybe people that have a lack of belief in themselves as well. Those are the two main things that I'm hearing that some of you guys are struggling with. Is that correct? Is there anything you want to add? Because I just want to make this valuable for you. Like, there's no point me talking about, you know, how to ask a goal question if you guys already know what a goal question is. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, just unmute and tell me what's currently going on.
I would say like uncovering more pain, like
Yeah,
the secrets behind uncovering the pain, even though
cool.
if they don't want to tell you about it.
Yeah, that's good. I'll cover that today. You'll like what I've got. Anyone else, just feel free to unmute. I'm here to listen.
I think the exact question that you just brought up, Ahmed, is something that we've covered on one of the recent live calls. And Vaug just joined, who had that question. And yeah, it's about how to deal with prospects that don't give you a lot of pain.
Yeah,
And yeah, maybe also the mindset behind limiting beliefs where you may think they don't have a lot of pain, but actually there
yeah,
is,
yeah.
right?
Cool. Well, yeah, we'll crack into it. So, I start. Everything starts off with the mindset, right? Before you talk about what to say, how to say it, when to say it. So what are you thinking? So the first thing for me is, if someone's on a call with me, they're on a call because they have a problem. Whether they want to tell me that they have one or not, it doesn't matter. They have a problem. If they were good, they would not be with you. So if you're on a call and you're struggling to get pain, um, you're probably doing too much, and you're not probably asking the questions as like directly as you can. And I'll give you some examples, but the mindset is, even if someone's like got an ego and saying, "Oh, I'm good," right? Or like, "Oh, it's not that bad." They actually have a problem because no one forced them to fill in a long form, watch a VSL, enter an email. Like, no one's gonna, if you're making 100K a month, you're not really, or whatever, a shit ton of money, you're not wasting your time on an hour sales call with someone from a company. Like, they have a problem. So now we actually have to go, well, we have to now define what a problem actually is, right? Like, what the hell does that mean? So I'm going to let you guys tell me, what do you think a problem actually is? Because the clarity of your definition is going to cause you to find it easier to get the responses you want.
Something that's stopping them from doing something, like an obstacle.
Okay. Anyone else?
I'll just give you an example. Like, the problem is I want to make more money.
That's not a problem, really, because what words did you just say?
I want to make more money. I don't know how to make more money.
Right. That can be seen as a problem, yes. But anyone else? I want the definition of one, because if you understand, if you can define it, doesn't matter who you're speaking to, where they're from, what they look like, you will find the problem and get into pain, which is next.
The kind of, something that's stopping me from being where I want to be.
Kind of. I think you're close. You're close. I'll give it to you guys. So this is the cleanest definition I've personally found. A problem is very simple. It is just an area or an aspect that is not up to someone's standard or something that they're unhappy with. That's a problem. Because if it wasn't a problem, they wouldn't have a desire to change it, right? So it's something they're unhappy with. And I might get your name wrong, Tasneem, right? In your case, yes, an obstacle. But the reason that is a problem for that person is because they can't get past it, right? Vaughan, if someone wants to make more money, the area of dissatisfaction or the thing they're unhappy with is how much they're making right now, right? That is the problem. And I'm very, very precise with my definitions because it allows you then to actually ask the right questions after, right? So we understand the problem, but what the hell is pain, right? Because pain comes from the problem. So again, I'll pause. I want you guys to tell me, how would you define pain?
Something that makes you feel mentally or physically dissatisfied.
I would say
Okay.
something that hinders you from generating the revenue that you're projected to make. You know, anything that keeps you from making money, that's a pain area.
Okay, but what is the difference between what you've both just said and the problem then?
I would
If a
say
problem is an area that they're not happy with, what's the difference between that and pain?
I mean,
That's causing them.
one's a feeling, the other one's a fact.
I was
Okay.
about to say something that's causing a discomfort for you.
Yeah. You and Jeffrey are getting there. Anyone else before I give it away?
something you
So
can't solve by yourself.
Sorry?
Something that you can't solve by yourself.
That's a problem, right?
Okay.
What is
I,
pain? What is
I,
pain? Because
I
you
say,
see, yeah, go on, Zaid. Zaid.
sorry, I'd say it's a specific problem that like creates enough pressure for that person to seek change.
That's still a problem definition. I think the closest is when we were talking about the feelings, right? Because the real definition of pain is the unwanted effects of a problem over time. So if you have a problem of not making enough money, the effect of not making enough money is you can't travel, you can't do this, you can't put your kids to school, you can't buy groceries, and it's over time because it's just an expression of the effect of the problem. Does that make sense? Or is this like you're just like, well, why is this guy so technical here? Like, what the hell's going on? The reason, and I'll explain why this is important, but does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right. So why is this key? Because, and the reason I will never say it's a feeling or it's a bad effect or whatever is because in sales, you don't want to give judgment to you don't want to assume what someone's feeling, because if you're assuming it, you're going to cause resistance in the person, right? If I assume someone's like, oh, you're making 10K a month, okay, why are you not happy with that? Well, who said I'm not happy with that, right? Like, you can't assume someone's state. So that's why I will always say it's the effect of it, because they're supposed to tell me what the effect is. So we understand what the problem is. We understand what pain is. Let's take a look at the different cases that we can possibly run into. So the very obvious case of pain is your typical like biz op offers, business opportunity offers that help people make 10K a month and help people leave their 9 to 5s. And it's like, oh, I just want to leave my job and make 10K a month and have financial freedom. Like the pain that that type of prospect is facing is more like present pain of why their current situation is not enough for them, and maybe the past, like all the issues they've gone through because they haven't had enough money, right? The more successful people, the A types, or whatever you guys want to call it, the people that seem to have less pain, their pain is just different. It's not past pain, right? Because if we're saying pain is a problem over time, time goes in two directions. Time goes into the future and it goes into the past and the present, obviously, right? So if they're happy right now and 2 years ago they were also happy, of course you guys are going to think there's no pain because you don't have the awareness of how to find where the actual pain is for that person. But the actual pain is in the future, right? The future pain is, okay, if I don't make 500,000 a month, what have I missed out on? Right? What's the impact of me not reaching my full potential on me if I don't actually make a change? And those types of questions will unlock the real pain in someone already doing really well. Right? Closed off people is a different story. Like you've probably triggered that in your sales process. Maybe there's something you said. But people that are already successful and they just want to know, hey, what's the price? Tell me, blah, blah, blah. I just want to do business and all that stuff. The pain is more like it's a sense of regret. That's the most common thing. I mean, I've taken like millions of calls at this point or watched them all, watched and reviewed tons of calls. It's the same thing. Like it's always to do with something being left on the table that they're not fully satisfied with, which is pain for them. And you can ask them, okay, so like if that happened though, how would that feel for you, knowing that you actually haven't done everything you said you could have done? Well, it wouldn't be great. What do you mean? Well, I'd feel like I've just wasted my potential, blah, blah, blah. And they'll go on some story around all the things that they're going to feel if they stay at their current level, which is not bad, but it's not where they really want to be. Does that make sense, guys? Just let me know, unmute, like it's free for all.
I can only speak for myself, guys. Come on.
No, that makes a
sense.
lot of sense because I was just on a role play with Ziad, and that was kind of the position that we was role playing in terms of like, yeah, my life's good, I'm in a good position,
Yeah.
but I want to get a multi-million-pound house in the future, which requires, a couple 100K deposit. So even though I'm fine now, if I don't change something now, I'm not going to be able to have that house I want in the future. So my pain was more future as opposed to
Future-based.
past.
Exactly, right? And your ability to spot that quickly is going to allow you to like not piss off these prospects and keep the sales calls going on, because you can piss them off and they'll hop off the call. You've just lost $1,000 or $2,000 commission, right? So you got to be pretty perceptive with this. Now, I skipped a section because, again, I don't know how you guys run your sales calls, but before you go into all of this stuff, you have to run a good sales process. You have to, from start to finish. What is a good sales process? I mean, I'd be here for 2 hours or hours to go through mine, but overall, it's getting a strong understanding of where someone wants to get to. Where are they right now? What have they tried? Why isn't what they're doing right now enough for them to get to where they want to go? Why now are they looking to make a change? Future pace. Okay, so look, if you had this thing, like what changes, what would that do for you personally? Consequence. Okay, if nothing changes though, like what happens then, if you're being honest with me, at the bottom I put identity because I like to sell through identity. So I like to like frame people as a certain type of person that they need to step into, because I just find that's a higher level of sale. You get less refunds when you sell an identity as well, but depends on where you are in your sales process. I mean, when I started sales, I wasn't doing that, but once you've mastered the fundamentals, you can add all this fancy stuff and labeling and all these NLP techniques, which I tend to do in my process as well. Is this stuff like you guys do, or like how do most of you guys run your sales processes?
To answer that a bit for you guys, but I'm happy to have your answers. Identity framing is something, obviously, like you mentioned, advanced, that most of you guys here on the call right now, we haven't gone into deeply, right? The rest, going into the goals, obviously, first situation phase, digging into pain and whatnot, especially that we have a lot more of B2C offers that you guys are closing on right now, right? So that's why that focus is slightly different. But besides that, seems very, very much the same.
Nice. Cool. And yeah, if you're on B2C offers, yeah, that's good because, well, I always recommend people to start off there because good volume is easier, and what I say is, I mean, what is easy, but it's more straightforward. And yeah, you can make a shit ton of cash in there in those spaces. So that's how you deal with those A types of people. I think there was something else I wanted to cover as well. Let's see what I have here. Oh yes, let's cover as well, and I'll just type it out. I hear also some of you guys are struggling with like people that don't believe in themselves. Is that true? Did I hear that wrong? Someone want to give me an example they faced recently? Like let's break stuff down.
Gonna give an example for someone who isn't
Sure.
on the call right now, just
Yeah.
people who are very scarcity minded, right? And we have gone into frequencies in the map of consciousness and how to elevate someone from being scarcity minded, afraid, blaming others, and so on, right? How to elevate their frequency and also give them an understanding of, hey, where do you think you're gonna end up more successful? If you operate in a frame of fear, right, and you say it's all not gonna work out, right, and you always assume the worst, or if you're optimistic, right? The person says I can, the person says I can't. Who do you think will be successful? There you go. So who do you want to be, right? That's something that I heard a few people struggle with a bit, but love for
That
you.
process, they're struggling with that process, or
Yeah, struggling how to elevate someone's frequency if they're in fear, for example, right? If they say, oh,
sure.
what if it goes wrong and it's a lot of money and here and this and
Yeah.
that.
Well, I'll briefly cover like, and I'll just type it out, I'll briefly cover like the skeleton of like how do you handle fear. So in general, it doesn't matter what offer you sell, who you're selling to, there's only four types of fear in the entire world, right? Four types of fear, right? The first fear I'd say is fear of us as sellers. So that's like, oh, you guys are a scam. I just met you 10 minutes ago. How do you expect me to pay 10K today? Like that's fear of us as sellers, right? Second fear, which is what we're talking about now, is fear of themselves, where the person is like, okay, if I did this, I might, or it can take different flavors. It's like, can I actually make this happen? Like, like I've never done this before. How am I supposed to learn how to do YouTube automation or build a drop shipping store and all this stuff, right? They've never done it before. And that's a lot of like self-doubt, lack of inner belief and conviction. Third, I like to say fear of the past. So these are things of people being burnt before. I've, invested in this program, spoke to, this guy and went through his thing and it didn't work and fuck, I'm 20K down the hole and I don't know what to do now. Like, and you're asking me for 10K today. I can't really do that. I'm a bit scared. Like that's fear of the past. And then fear of the future is more ROI based. So this is like, okay, if I was to invest 10K with you today, will I actually get X return tomorrow? Or, I mean, yeah, that's basically fear of the future. It's like, if I am to do this, will it work out? Do you have any guarantees? Like that's usually fear of the future. Now, how you handle each one of these is completely different. I'm only going to focus on the fear of themselves one. I personally love this one because it is like really mindset based, right? So before you really go into handling any sites, any type of fear, I'll cover a bit of like the mindset and the understanding first. So in sales, you obviously, how do you sell? You sell with a mixture of logic and emotion, right? So right now, if you're getting a fear objection, that's an emotional objection. And it's very, very hard to overcome an emotional objection with logic. It's very, very hard. You can't, because they're still going to feel the fear behind all the words you're saying. Like, even if you say, listen, man, spiral dynamics and like, the awareness and consciousness and all this shit, like, you got to just elevate your free, like, logically it makes sense, but if they don't feel it though, it's not going to land. And I say that because this set of objections took me the longest to learn in sales, because I was told all types of different information. Like, you handle it this way, and then you hop on a call, and then you say the lines, and it just doesn't fucking work. It's just like, what the fuck? Like, come on, like, So you have to handle it through the emotional side. So what does that mean? Really, really good ways of connecting to someone emotionally is through analogies and stories, right? Walk them through different situations, get them to put themselves and feel those situations, see how they've overcome fear in those situations, and then relate those situations to the present moment and help them then step forward into the new version of themselves because they've already done it before in a different area. Like, that's macro level how you want to overcome fear. It's about emotions, overcoming the emotions, and speaking to someone like heart to heart. Does that make sense before I move on?
Yes.
Do you guys want a quick example in terms of storytelling, something that you
Yeah,
could do?
we'll go through that now. Before we handle the emotions, we have to basically make them understand that logically there is no reason for them not to succeed. So what do I say? I'm saying something like, okay, look, I completely hear you. Just to take a step back for a second, like, do you actually feel what we've gone through today can actually help you? So I'm going to get confirmation that the program that I'm offering them, they feel can help them. Why? Because I cannot handle an objection. I can't handle fear. I can't handle money. I can't handle nothing if I don't get confirmation that they feel the program's going to work for them. If they don't, then that's an issue with how I've pitched or what the problem is, right? Or the pain and what they need to solve it, right? Like, that's a different story. So step one, I'm going to confirm what we do works for them. If they were to do it, of course. They're going to say yes. I'm going to say why. I'm going to get them to double down. I'm going to say, okay, why do you say that though? Well, I feel like this can help me because, you've got the community, you've got the systems, you've got the knowledge bank, and like, I just never had this before. Awesome. Okay. And so when you say, and I'll just re-clarify the objection. So let me just step 2, why, step 3. That's if I'm getting, it depends. Like, some people might mask this fear around, like, I need to think about it, right? Which you just like handle that and then the fear comes up. Some people might just tell you, hey, look, I'm scared, right? And you can literally say, okay, so like, I can just kind of hear around a bit of hesitancy, a bit of uncertainty, maybe a bit of fear. Is that correct? I'm going to just confirm it's some sort of fear before I go ahead and tackle the fear. I can't tackle the fear if they don't tell me. Like, some people will hide and say, listen, I'm not scared. Well, I'm just not going to use that word. I'm going to say, okay, but you're a bit unsure about what about this decision, aren't you? Yeah, I am, right? Like, who's really going to say no to that? No one, right? So I'm going to say, confirm what the objection is. This process can be longer if you have a think about it. You say, I completely understand you want to think about it. Can I ask before you do, like, do you feel like what we have here can help you? Yes. Why? Okay. So when you do go and think about it, like, what's actually coming up for you that makes you feel like you need to do so? Just to see if I can help. Well, listen, I'm just a bit unsure. Like, I'm a bit hesitant and scared. Like, it still gets the same things. You get the fit. Then it's like, okay, cool. Like, I understand how you feel. And actually, if you didn't feel that way, I would think you were a bit strange, because you're about to embark on some growth, and all growth is a bit scary, right? So I'm gonna make them feel, I'm gonna be like, hey, like calm down, like relax, like let's take a second, let's take a breather, because they're in that state of like fight or flight. They're either gonna hop off the call, or if you ask for the credit card, they're just gonna fucking leave Zoom. You know, all the tricks that these prospects do, right? So you gotta calm them down. You gotta be like, listen, I completely understand. And if you didn't feel that way, you know, I would be wondering if you were AI or not, you know, like, but it's good because it's a sign that this is a change, you know. And like we said before, like if you followed this program to a T, you feel like it will get you to 10K a month, right? But at the same time, if you don't do it, nothing's gonna change, right? Right, obviously, right? Yeah. And so I know for you, and you can bring up all the past, you know, pain that they told you about, and you can say, listen, and if you decided to do that, like what happens then for you? Well, I'm gonna be stuck. And what does being stuck mean? Well, I'm gonna be still here in my 9 to 5, I'm still gonna be doing XYZ. So what I'm doing is I'm going in a bit of consequence first so that they can clearly understand how bad it would be if they didn't actually change the situation, right? And then once I've done a bit of consequence, then I'm going to say, okay, look, and exactly. And I don't want that to happen for you. But again, how you feel is completely fine because it's normal, you know. Have you, and then I might insert an analogy here. I'm going to be like, okay, cool. So, because I'm sure, because you're obviously feeling this because you've never done this before, right? Like you've never really learned how to, you know, start a drop shipping store or do this or do that before, right? This is completely new, and that's really why the fear's going on here, right? But I can't imagine this is the first new thing you've ever done in your entire life, right? Because like, how old are you again? I'm 30 years old, exactly, right? And have you ever learned how to, and this is where I'm going to insert the analogies, like, have you ever learned how to drive a car, ride a bike, skydive, this, that, the other? You can pluck out all the stories, but pick something that the person that you're speaking to might resonate with. How do you do that? Well, you'll get an idea during discovery. If someone says that they are, I don't know, a pilot, then you know you obviously know what to do. If someone says they're a single mom or whatever, you can literally use the idea of having your first child and going through that process and bringing that into the world, that being a scary thing, you know. Most parents can relate to that, you know. Just choose things that people can relate to. If I'm giving you a example right now, I pick the driving one. I'll be like, listen, you know, I'm sure you learned how to drive a car, right? Like you can drive right now, right? Yeah, I can. Yeah, and I'm sure the first time you learned how to drive, like that shit was a bit scary. Like I can't imagine you hopped in the wheel like Lewis Hamilton and you were going like 100 miles an hour. Like you were a bit scared. You might have crashed into a tree or something. Like there was some fear, right? Yeah. And let me ask you this: how the hell did you overcome that fear? Well, you know, I just knew that, you know, by driving the car, I mean, it's just what I'm supposed to do. Like my dad drove, my mum drove. I just wanted to drive, like, you know, exactly, right? And you didn't let that initial feeling of discomfort when you hopped into the, you know, Toyota or whatever fucking car you're learning to drive in. You didn't let that initial fear stop you from learning, did you? Right? And look at you now. Like if you decide to go to London tomorrow or Paris the next day or Milan by car, like you can do that. And the reason you can is because you didn't let that initial fear stop you. But imagine if you did, you know, what would happen then? Exactly, right? And it's the exact same thing here, you know? When it comes to really changing your life and doing anything new, that feeling is always going to be there, right? Do you know what the definition of the comfort zone is? The comfort zone is everything you know, right? And by definition, in order to get out of that, in order to experience results you've never ever had before, you have to get uncomfortable. And that's all you're feeling right now. So, how would it be fair for me, knowing where you want to go and who you want to be, to allow the fear to rob you from the future that you're supposed to have? So, what do you want to do? You know, are you going to let this fear win and rule you, or are you going to rule over the fear and actually step into the man you're supposed to be? And that process, and there's very specific words I personally like to use, like, how would it be fair for me to allow you and how would it be fair for me to allow the fear or allow you to keep thinking this way that's going to cause you to be in the same position as you are right now? It wouldn't be, right? Because why, if not, why book in the sales call? Why book in the call? Why tell me you want to change your life, right? I sometimes even say stuff like, because listen, man, I'm not even paid to do this, but you know, oh crap, I lost it. A lot of this stuff is in. I haven't used this shit in ages, but
Well,
I was
also
gonna,
something else
yeah,
that showing the pressure when people are like, "Ah, man, I get you trying to close the sale and whatnot." Something I like to say is, "Man, listen, my life is not going to change today, no matter where we take this, but yours very well might, and I believe that's why you came here today, right?"
yeah, exactly. Like I've had, especially, I used to sell salespeople, which are like the worst to sell to. Very like egotistic people, and
Who
with
are you telling that to?
well, no, you guys, there's a difference. Like, you know, not everyone, but traditionally it's not seen as easy. Um, and damn, yeah, they would be like, listen, I know what you're doing. You're asking me the future pace question. You're asking me this. I'm like, bro, listen, I'm paid a fat salary. So whether you join or you don't, I'm good. Okay. But the issue that you're facing is you're not making enough money. So however I need to ask the question, whether I'm saying it this way or I'm coloring it purple today or yellow tomorrow, it doesn't matter. Like you have a problem, right? So what's the biggest challenge stopping you from fixing it? You know, just being honest and saying, even though you're not on a salary, like just make it up. Like my biggest thing in sales is sometimes you just have to tell the prospects what they need to hear in order for them to feel comfortable to make a change. If you fully believe that what you're selling can change, like help them, you know. And I've sold things in the past that like are very questionable. You're like, oh wow, this could be a bit scammy, and that's why I try not to do that. Like, but if you generally, and I, that's another part of sales, like you should be reading testimonials of your company and all that stuff, and just getting into the energy and feeling it. Because as much as I'm telling you what to say, people buy the energy that you're giving off on these calls, you know. Whether you're I've mixed up and mashed up analogies all day long, but like they understand where I'm coming from, they understand my intention, and that's what gets people to be like, wow, this guy actually gets me, and like I feel like he's got my best interest at hand. So all these things, put them together, that's how you can overcome like 90% of like fear objections. Like you shouldn't really, depends where you want to get to with sales. Like I just wanted to master this shit and just like get super good. Um, you shouldn't really lose a sale to a fear objection, really. Like if you are, that's fine. We all start somewhere. I didn't wake up, I wasn't born, you know, smashing this out my mum, but like it is really should not be because yeah, like it's the most common objection in my opinion, especially if you're selling B2C. And there's so much to be made if you just get this down.
Well,
Yeah,
and I want to touch on that real quick. It's not just obviously, right? We're all here to make money. It's the commission you get. But guys, it's no matter how much the deal was, how much cash you collected or whatnot, if you get someone where you really see how they're struggling and you close them, and I'll give you guys an example eventually. Someone who's not on this call right now, but will be shortly. We'll have a story to share about that one. One of the craziest sales calls I've ever been on recently, where you generally get a thank you, man. I know I've been extremely difficult and I really struggled on this call, but I'm so glad you helped me through it, and now I really can see through, and I'm just grateful that you were there to help me. That means something, right? And when it comes to what we've just talked about, what Ahmed explained, something that you've heard from us many, many times, which is authenticity kills competition.
100%.
Energy doesn't lie, and that shines through. So when you do get an offer where you just like, I feel, for example, I know that what we have and what we put into this, right, with the intentions we have, we're changing people's lives. And I couldn't be more happy, right, being on these calls, being able to help people with that, right? And also, the most important sale you'll ever make, like we've told you many times also, is selling yourself. One, on the fact that you can achieve what you want to achieve, but also close yourself on the offer that you're closing for. Doesn't mean you have to do the same business model. but it means become aware of what you're actually doing besides making a commission. I've spoken to some of our higher up one-on-one clients about this recently because one of the clients said, yeah, but then on sales calls, you ask people about their problems and you only talk about problems and this and that. And change your perspective, change your focus. Call a client you've closed 2, 3 months ago. Ask them how their life has changed, right? You have access to the programs, to the community, and you can look, hey, how are these people doing? And then you realize, wow, this person I spoke to a month ago, look at what they're doing now and how they feel. I'll give you a quick story about this. I had my background as a personal trainer, right? And I couldn't have been closer to the amazing transformations that clients went through. From having their doctor tell them you have serious health issues, having their wife cry because they're worried, and then them feeling better than they have ever before felt in their life, being able to play with their children or grandchildren, something that they've never thought they could, and just be pain-free and thank you every single day. Being able to see that, right? Again, perspective. Also, you looking into what have I been able to do for these people in the past. That gives you bulletproof conviction, and it really wants you to help people so much more. And also accept that sometimes you should feel bad after a call in the sense that you could have helped that person and you didn't. Maybe
100%.
because you didn't train enough, right? Because you thought, hey, what's the fastest way to make a mission? And I get it, you want to
100%.
make money, right?
100%.
You have
You
to
know what I
understand
used to say
what's
when I was
yeah.
full time? I'm not there for the money. Like, and yeah, there's so much of this is a mental game because you might get on a hot streak and you think you're on top of the world, and then, you know, what comes up must come down sometimes. And sometimes you don't close. So like you have to develop the a strong mental framework to see sales. And the one that helped me is, look, I'm not here for sales. I'm not here to make a sale. I'm just here to help this person change. That's it. Whether they buy or not, I don't really give a fuck. The money is a byproduct. And I'm going to put everything on the line to make sure that this person overcomes their own limiting beliefs, fears, and anything else that could possibly stop them from actually making a change in their life on the call with me today. And yeah, if you genuinely come from that place, I have people like they used to make a joke of me at one of my companies that I was the top rep at. Like they used every time I closed, they used to put like crying emojis in the channel because I would make people cry like consistently on my calls. I even for the interview, I made the guy that interviewed me cry. Like he's never cried before. But the reason for that is because I just came from such a pure place of literally I'm here to help you and also make you see what you haven't actually seen before. Like, stop lying to yourself. Like, it's bad. Like, what does that look like? Like, how is that actually impacting you on a day-to-day basis? Like, not having enough money or not being with your kids and them growing up. Okay, where does the idea come from though? Oh, because when your parents were raising you, you didn't actually, they weren't really present to you. And how did that make you feel? It made me feel shit. They're going to start crying tears. And and you get that deep with someone, you get someone there, wow, they will move mountains to spend 30K on a call with you. Like my thing is like build enough emotional leverage on a sales call with someone to the point where it's impossible for them to say no, unless their card declines that day and they have to call the bank. Like it's impossible, right? But it all comes from the place you come from and your attachment to them changing, not the sale, but them making a change in their life. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. I love that. And just to touch on that before we let you guys answer the question, if that makes sense to you also, this is again something that we've covered on a video we just uploaded, which is again about the map of consciousness, where we explain to you guys that the higher you up in these frequencies, the more, right? Or the less rather, you're focused on yourself, right? If you're just focused on your own commission, on your own benefit and whatnot, who do you focus on? Duh, yourself. Who do you want to focus on a sales call? You need to understand your prospect. Plus, energy doesn't lie. And if you're not desperate for the sale and you don't have commission breath because you're counting your money, right, when you start going into the closing part of the call, right? You have abundance. You're like truly, not just saying it, but feeling, my life's not going to change today. Yours might. And that comes across, right?
100%. 100%. Yeah. It's huge, 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 huge. And yeah, I genuinely believe it. Probably that alone could just double your commissions. Like, it's not a joke. It's not a joke. But yeah, guys, that's pretty. I'll open up to questions and anything. Literally, like nothing's off topic, but it's pretty much what I wanted to share. Just want to give some value and share some lessons from my journey in terms of what's helped me top leaderboards consistently here.
There's also, just before we go into questions, one thing to add. When you guys listen to this, sometimes you don't know what you're missing when you haven't experienced it. Just like people who don't go to the gym sometimes, you don't know how well you would feel if you did, right? Same thing here. If you had that extra purpose with closing deals, besides the commission, commission is only going to take you that far. Let's say your goal is 10K, then you start making 10K every single month, right? What is actually driving you then? Right? This is also something I speak about with many people, also my mentors that are, I've got 8 figures in the bank. What's purpose? What's next? What now? I know you all want to make that 10K, but when you truly are able to get that mindset, right, understand the long-term value in what you're doing, gonna close a lot more deals, right? Don't just be in it for the quick money, because then you'll just be in it for the quick money, not for the long run and the real wealth that you can build for yourself, but also how you can help other people. And wealth is not just the money. So yeah, that was amazing. Very, very
100%.
happy to have that on the
100%.
board. Anything from you guys?
Yeah, let me stop sharing. Unless you guys want me to keep sharing, that's fine. But yeah, any questions? I'm an open book.
I've got one.
Sure.
So you spoke about the 4 types of fear. That's fear, the closer, themselves, the past, and the future. Sounds like you're obviously an expert on the emotional angle with the crying emojis. Um, is there one aspect of fear that you find more difficult to go into? Because it seems like obviously the
Um,
hearing themselves parts is more of your expertise, but is there
is
any
there a
other
fear
part?
that I struggle with the most? That's your question basically, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I think the first one that stumped me was, let's see, the seller one, the fear of us, like the scams, because it depends also on the offer you sell, firstly, because every offer will invite a different set of objections. Like the one offer where I got really good on this stuff was a 15K business funding offer. So we were helping people get like 0% interest in on their businesses and then upselling them onto like investments after. And the biggest objection on that offer was scam. Like, it's too good to be true. How can you get me 200K worth of capital with no interest? What the fuck? Like, I saw you online. Like, it must be a scam, right? So, yeah, that I would say was very, very hard because they were just aggressive. They'd tear you down, but you just have to. There's several things I do quickly. I mean, I personally, it depends because not every single one of them is the same. But the most common one was that I would use to handle it is like, okay, look, let's be honest though, because I think there's something else going on here. Like, you obviously didn't book in this call because you thought this was a scam, right? Like, you are X years old, you run a company Y, like you've got a million things to do. So like, you went through that, webinar and this because there was some level of confidence here, right? So help me understand, like, what's actually changed between how we started and where we are today? Is it the price or is it something else that's really going on? Well, listen, I just don't really believe that you could really do this, and now I'm on to something else, right? So I've basically treated that like a smokescreen to something I can actually handle. That's one way of handling stuff like that. Same with like if you're on a crypto offer and they're like, okay, yeah, but what if you disappear tomorrow? I mean, same thing. Like, or in that case, I might use yeah, you could just put it on a credit card though, and just call your company back if we do disappear. But you've seen the track record. I can't really. I mean, it's just like you could get hit by a bus tomorrow. Am I really going to put money on in the betting shop on that? No, because it just doesn't make sense, right? So let's be honest here. What's actually going on it's a bit of like hesitation on your side, or is it something else? And again, I'm on to another fear, right? I'm just treating it as a smokescreen because, yeah, it's just the easiest way to handle it.
Also, something that Fabian would refer to in that reference is you can make the prospect feel stupid with their own objection. Just like them being, yeah, but I don't know if you're a scam. Oh, if we're a scam, yeah. What makes you want to book a call for a scam? That's a crazy idea, right?
Yeah.
Why are you here today if we're a scam? Just pass it on to them and they'll be like, feel stupid about their own objection. Right?
Yeah, yeah,
Pass the call
exactly.
back to them and like, okay.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, well, I'd be a pretty bad scam wasting an hour with you for just $2,000, mate. Like really? I think my life is worth a bit more than that, mate. Laugh and then say, okay, so like, what's really going on, bro? Like, come on, yeah. So, yeah, that's one way of doing stuff.
And again, something that I want to just throw in there real quick. When you listen to the way Ahmed communicates with you guys, that's the same way he talks to prospects, right? That's authentic. It's easygoing. It feels like a normal conversation, which is
Yeah,
what your sales call should be like. It's not like, next question, right? I mean, this is exaggerated, obviously, right? But the guy's easygoing, like, hey, between us, man, what's actually like going on, right? You don't need a crazy script and oh, how do we, put this sentence together? Just figure, maybe there's something else. Let me ask him. So what's actually going on? Super simple. Guys, you're just having a conversation. What's way more important is your understanding of the process, right? Of being able to read between the lines, pick up on that, and then ask them about it. Because sometimes you don't have full understanding. Again, you have to understand the prospect you're speaking to, otherwise you won't close. And you just hover over it. You never go into it, right? And all that stuff comes at the end. So yeah, just have a conversation, read between the lines, pick up on these things, ask them about it.
100%. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Vaughan?
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
Cool. Anyone else?
Yeah, I've got one.
Cool. Let's go.
See if you had to start from scratch, what would you focus on for the first 90 days?
Okay. Do I have no experience at all in the industry? No
Just no
experience.
experience.
Okay. So what I would do is I would, yeah, if I wanted to just make a lot of money quickly, two things. I'd get an appointment setter role and I'd get a mentor. Those are the two quickest things I would do. Why? Appointment setter role because those are the easiest to get. You get enough reps. You have to just speak to a lot of people to get good at sales. You can't avoid that. Like you just have to. Um, and if you have no experience and no connections as well, like you're just doing it alone, you're like, stranded, right? Like a lone wolf. Like, yeah, just tons of applications every single day to land a setting role. LinkedIn, Facebook. I don't know how many of you guys are in like Facebook groups, but like for me, that's where I got good because there's a huge Facebook community of closers, like huge. That's really where I built myself, and just getting them network, drop like lessons you're learning, see who's hiring in all those groups, and get a role. On that role, learn as much as you can. I would be also, which is something I also did, is marketing yourself, even if you're not an expert today. Like, what does that mean? If I'm on a roll, I'm going to be talking, I might make posts. So I'm going to use my social media profile to brand myself as an appointment setter or a sales professional or a closer. So I'm going to make, Facebook accounts, LinkedIn accounts, whatever. And if I'm on this roll, I'm going to say, just did XYZ dials today, sets X number of people, and one of those sets closed. What did I learn from that set? I learned the deeper into pain you go, the more leverage you get. And if you speak to someone who's closed off, this is how you open them up. And I have a catalog, and I'm just going to do that every single day. I'm going to build a catalog of like my experiences online. Why? Because the next job I apply for, yes, they're going to see, well, I don't know, no one really reads the CV. If they do, I don't know, but I don't think people do. They're going to want to see something. And people buy more who you are. And if they can look back and see, okay, look, this guy's active, this guy's serious, he's got some motion going on, people are commenting on his posts and whatnot, he must know something. And you're more likely to get offers that way to then get into a closer where you can make more money. So that setting role is not to make money, it's just to get experience, just to learn what the sales process is, how to handle some basic objections. And I would try and stay in that company for as long as I can, maybe 6 months until I get really good, and then leave, and just keep branching off onto better offers. I mean, there's not really anything else you can do, you know. Yeah, I don't know anything else you can really do. And that's what, by the way, that's what I personally, that's how I got hired by Jeremy Miner's team. They had just seen all the shit I did, all the people that were following me. I was probably the only rep that didn't go through their training that they usually only hire people internally, but because they saw, you know, all my work online and me handling objections, they were like, oh, we need to get this guy, you know. So they just headhunt, and I've had many big offers also headhunt me that way. So I can't stress that enough because it gets you in the right doors to make good money.
For sure. The higher you climb, the more it's word of mouth. And that's especially with like I said, our one-on-one clients in the upper programs, you've all seen their case studies and whatnot, right? At that point, when you are making 200, 300 plus K every single month for a business, you're a money printer. Word gets around. Other companies will want to have that money printer for themselves. Fabian recently compared it to, people on a football team, right? The top stars, word gets around. If you're Cristiano Ronaldo, you don't have to introduce yourself.
Yeah.
When it comes to getting the foot inside the door of the interview, that's sending out a Loom video, right, of introducing yourself. Sometimes I get applications of people who will just, send you a quick message. I'm like, you have to stand out, guys, right? If you have, or another one, super simple, is you're applying somewhere, right? And like you watch that video of me, for example, I watched that video and clearly that's the same video they sent to 10 different companies. I'm like, if that's the level of
Yeah.
commitment I'm getting from you now, like what should my expectation be in the first place?
I hate
Right? So
those.
take
Yeah.
some time, do some research on that company, right? What I've had, for example, people applied and they told me quotes about that I said 50 minutes into a podcast. I'm like, okay, right? It takes commitment to be able to, throw that at me for me to see, okay, they've done more research than maybe the average person, right? And
Yeah.
all you need to land that interview, and then it's not about your track record, guys, honestly. Again, that there's people who've been in sales for decades and they have God knows what experience, and companies won't care a bit. They don't care, honestly, right? Because they've been there, done that. They know how to coach a sales team if they're at that level. And I've ran so many sales teams with people telling me exactly what they're looking for. Character, right? I landed a role on an 8-figure business that generates 500,000 minimum per month as my first ever closing gig without having done appointment setting. Yeah, I got a bit lucky, but you know what I did and why it worked? I just told the guy my motivation, my pain, told him exactly why I'm going to work my ass off. And even if I'm not going to be his best sales rep from the get-go, because I'm still gaining experience, I told him I'll do whatever it takes to succeed on this team. And I'll show up every single day. I want this so bad. Here's why. These are my goals. This is what I want to achieve. Dude, just give me a chance. You'll see what's going to happen. I know I'll kill it. Energy doesn't lie. I meant it and I did it. Right? That's character. That's not, hey, look, this is my CV.
Yeah.
More questions?
Very good stuff. Yeah. Any
I
other
had a
questions?
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a question.
Sure.
So when you first started out, was there anything in particular that you really struggled with that was a bit of a hurdle, but obviously clearly you've mastered now. So I'm just curious what that would be.
Yeah. Objections. I remember my first full-time closing role, not knowing, yeah, what to say. People would be like, yeah, that's I'm a bit, yeah, like the fear stuff, like, oh, I'm just scared, I've never done this before. And you're just like, well, so do you want to do it or no? And they're like, yeah, well, I want to think about it. Okay, fuck. And then you just lost a call, and then your sales manager's on. This happened to me. My sales manager was on me. I was closing at like 10%. Like it was paying, he was paying so much per call. I was working 7 days a week then as well. I didn't know, like, I thought that was normal because I had no idea what the hell sales was. So, and that was the only thing I had going on because I just dropped out of uni. I dropped out of LSE in London, and I was like, "Fuck! Like, how have I just ruined my life now? I need to fucking make this shit work." So then, yeah, that's also why I say the mentorship's important because I just somehow found the right mentor. Well, not somehow. I mean, it was like the second or third one, but I looked at and just invested everything into him, and he fixed the holes that I was lacking in, like the objections. Also, the ability to lead people, I would say, is also huge as well. So that's like helping, yeah, like funneling people down to a way of thinking. Because at the end of the day, right, like, and this, I think I realized this maybe last year. Like I'm always learning stuff. Like I'm always like looking at things for different angles. But like I really, really understood that like the reason sales happen and don't happen is only because there is an alignment of beliefs. So someone has to believe something in order to take a certain action, which is buying. So all I need to do in my sales process is just line a set of beliefs. If they have beliefs that I can already see, or I think that most people would have that just don't align with the sale, I'm going to start inserting frames, pre-framing, pre-handling objections, storytelling. I'm going to do all this stuff because I'm going to align those beliefs. But the process of doing that requires you to have that leadership ability inside of you. Can you help someone see things in a different way? Can you speak with conviction? You know, like, and it all comes from, because, and Nick said this earlier, the way I speak to people, it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, I'll speak to you like I'm speaking to myself. Like, I'm just going to put myself in your shoes. If I was you and I had your life story, how would I be thinking and what do I need to hear and believe in order to change? And I'm just going to say that. And that's how you literally, at a high level, like you could say read people's minds, or, you know, it's almost like you get into their, it says really deep, you get into their psyche, like their brain, and then you start telling them words that they're even thinking without them even really, it's deep, this shit. But yeah, it all comes from your ability to like lead people. So those two things, I would say.
Plus, super huge, right? In B2C especially, but also in B2B at a certain level, right? People lack clarity. If they knew exactly what they needed to do to fix whatever problem and pain points they have, they would have done it. They lack clarity. They need to have a conversation with an expert to solve that problem. And what are you when you tell them things where they're thinking it, that they don't say it, but you're like, you know, you just put it out there and they think, wow, this guy is expressing exactly what I'm thinking. That's when you're viewed as an expert. Or even better, you say things, right? They didn't even know, right, were there.
Yeah. Or you recall experiences that they've had because you under this is where like um you know, when you're closing at a high rate on an offer, it's like you become the avatar almost, or like you insert, so like you might be able to even say experiences that someone's gone through without them even telling you. Like, and usually, and I've trained reps to do this, like that's when you close at like 90. The highest I've ever closed at like is like 90%. The reason it wasn't 100 is because, you know, funds, like people don't have the money. You can't sell someone like that. But like that is like peak, like understanding or empathy or whatever you want to call it. That's like where you really understand everything about someone. So like the second someone, it got so weird. Like the second someone would just answer my first question, it's like, okay, cool. I know the sale's done because he just told me his goal. I know where to go. And you'll get there, but it's just mastery of the basics. Every single, I just lived and breathed sales. That's why if someone asks me something or tells me to do something about sales, like I could be half asleep. Doesn't matter. Like the thing's there because it's just drilling every single day, this stuff, you know? And I think everyone, I'm not special. I think everyone can get there as well, you know?
Guys, do you see the correlation maybe between some of your mentors, right? Or some people that have succeeded here inside the program saying the same things. I've always said, listen, Fabian studied sales like a neuroscientist studied the brain, right? And that's why I praise you guys showing up to the live calls, to every single live call, on time, being committed, showing up, right? Because you have to get obsessed with this. And if you do just that, you'll get really good, right? Just start, don't stop. Congratulations. It's the basics you need to master. Here's the first basic. Show up, right? The more you learn, the better you get, the easier it all gets, right? But if you know you're not really doing as much as you could, don't expect the best results right away. I mean, don't bullshit yourself, guys, right? So just do exactly that. You'll get really good. You'll make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
It's rocket science. But again, the fundamentals like showing up should really be there. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and it's worth it because sales fucking changed my life. Like I was, I had no fucking money, man. Broke, living with parents. Like, yeah, yeah, it's just opened up. I think it's one of the best skills to learn personally. Um, obviously depends how far you want to go or what you want to do, but I think it's one of those skills that if you have, you'll be set for life to an extent, you know. Yeah.
I feel like no matter what you want to do, because of, again, guys, I'm like a broken record, but the connections you get, right? No matter what you want to pursue afterwards, with more money, more connections, right? And more understanding of, for example, how the people you work with have built a very successful business will help, right?
Mm.
Yeah, sales is a lifestyle. It's a way of improving yourself, always looking to improve, having a humble white belt mentality of entering every room like you can only learn, right? And really having that approach. And yeah. Uh, I want to touch on another question. Of course, if you guys have some, let's go into that also. I don't want to only have my questions now, but
Sure.
mentioned something that you learned recently, and I wanted to ask you that. Because the greatest people in sales never stop learning, right? And they're like, no matter how much you know, right? You could be making 100K per month as a sales rep. What can you learn, right? And you look for that because only what you look for you'll find. So, what is something that you have learned most recently where you have
Um,
to learn? I think you've touched on it a bit already.
okay. Well, that was like I would still class that like time ago because that was still a while ago. But I'd say, mm, for me, at this point, there's nothing like, there's, there's nothing I haven't really seen because I have been in those rooms with like, who I would call like the best in the world at sales, like people that just are fucking insane. So I've seen pretty much what there is out there. For me, learning wise, it's more about like the calibration on these calls, like the the right thing to say at the right time. It's more like the timing of things because when you start sales, it's like I don't know what to say. You learn what to say. Okay, then it's like how do you say it, tonality, and all this type of stuff. But um, it's more like the timing of like, okay, so this is the type of person I'm speaking to. They're in this part of the conversation here. This is the right question to ask to get what I need. Okay, they're saying this. I know 2 minutes later they're gonna say something else. Okay, this is, and it's like it's a matrix, and like um yeah, like I just know it doesn't really even matter how what I'm selling or the market because um yeah, I've just it's like I'd say it's just a deeper understanding of like the different types of people and the quirks, you know, and yeah, like I said, the timing of things, you know. Yeah. Because the impact, and why is that important? Because you might think, okay, yeah, great, but like what does that do? Well, at the like you can close, there's just getting the sale, and then it's like creating an experience for the person. Because like for me, I got to a point where I was bored of sales. Like I'm not really closing full time anymore. I've moved on to other stuff, but like it's about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, I was just bored. And if you're never really seeing this thing as a game, you will keep you won't last long. Like I had to find tasks to give me. I had to be like, let me see if I can close this call in 30 minutes. Cool, done. Okay. let me see if I can do 100K in a whatever, all these crazy deal sizes. Okay, cool. Let me see if I don't start my calls with a frame, what changes? Let me see and you just play with these things, and then and that's how I've advanced my understanding beyond like mentors and stuff like that. Because you'll get a point where you will make, if you literally study this shit all day, every day, you'll surpass your mentors. And then you have to think of new ways to like elevate and go on from there. So yeah, I don't even remember the initial question.
Oh,
But
all good, all good. I love what you said, and I just wanna add something to it, which I think ties in really well, which is what is something that you said or that you feel like rookies overcomplicate the most, which is actually very simple.
um, what do they overcomplicate? Let me see. I think actually, because I've trained a few people recently that just from zero, I'd say, um, what do they overcomplicate? I think they just overcomplicate the questions they're asking, if that makes sense. That I've seen people, the most recent one that comes to mind is this guy who I was walking him through what consequence is and how to do it, and I reviewed a sales call, and he's just stuck. Oh no, in fact, this is even better. Actually, I will say this one. It's like, um, yeah, in fact, it's related. It's like being able to ask the questions without really overcomplicating it and getting in your own way. So like you might you might have a script or whatever. You might have a process to follow, and one of the questions is, okay, look, if you don't make a change, what happens then? You might be scared to ask that because you're wondering, oh, what if I piss this person off or this, that? And a lot of beginners, me included, when I started, have that mindset of like, oh, I might offend this person. But you're just overcomplicating it. It's like, there's the question, ask the question, he gives you a response, acknowledge the response, move on. It's not that hard. Like, that's from what I've seen.
Yeah, again, guys, broken record, me, map of consciousness. Focus on yourself in fear. What will he think if I say this? Who you focused on? Yourself. You're in fear. What state, what frequency do you want to be in? Duh. Question answers itself, right? So again, maybe one or two of you have received that exact feedback from me of don't overcomplicate it. Ask a simple question. It's a conversation, right? Jeffrey, your question.
Yeah, so my question is like in my sales process, I do a lot of B2B now, and I had 10 years experience of B2C, but a common theme that would come up is indifference, right? It's like, hey, you either want the product or I have a ton of other people in line that are willing to pay for it. So do you implement a lot of indifference in your sales process or not so much?
Yeah. Well, I'd ask you, where are you using the indifference though?
I mean, to tie it in with an urgency, really.
At the end when you pitched.
Not necessarily at the end, but I layer it throughout the pitch.
Okay. Well, it depends. So like, let's say I'm selling something B2B. My indifference will come tonality based. So I'm not going to be the overhypey salesperson because I know that's probably going to put them off, and they've heard that before. I'm just going to be asking very short, sharp questions to get them to open up more. And then if I am pitching, yeah, again, I might not be overhyping it. Like that's my perspective on indifference. I'm not really going to say if you don't, I've got 100 other people behind you. Like I don't really think, like my thing is like I want that person to feel like I'm speaking to their soul and them. Like I'm just like I'm not gonna that's just not how I sell. So like, yeah.
Okay, got it. I mean, your sale is more of a personal type of
Yeah,
connection with the
even in
prospect.
B2B. Yeah, like even in B, because the thing is, in B2B, the front is, oh yeah, this is just the business. This is just, I need this piece of tech and I need this software run and I need this structure, right? But what is underneath that? Like, why the hell did this guy get into business in the first place? Like, what is the real goal at the end of the day? And if I can have that conversation, I'm again speaking to him deeper than anyone else has before. And then, yeah, if we're talking about the price, I'm like, hey, the price of 50K, what do you want to do from here? And he says no. Well, I'll be like, well, listen, man, can I ask what's the reason for that, keeping in mind all the things you told me before? I can do that because I've gone personal, but if I don't, what leg do I have to stand on really? Like, and
Yeah.
usually the inability to go personal is why those in B2B only close at 20-30%. Like, I'm biased. I think if you're at that level, that's okay, but that should not be, that is not all that is possible. You can do way more. You can do way more.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Plus, you're standing out and you're not sounding like anybody else, right? I mean, you may sound like a lot of other B2B sales reps if you're only like on the numbers and super rational and whatnot, and you believe, hey, he's a super dominant personality type, he's not going to want to talk about emotions, right? But that's you assuming something. And you stand out if you don't do what everybody else does, right? That's the
Yeah.
exact reason why, like you said, Ahmed, even in B2B, you say what you say, right? And
And it's how you say, because yeah, it's how. The how is like where the money is, because you can take this and try it, and then you've just burnt a lead because he's like, well, I booked in the call to talk about business. Why are you asking me about my wife and kids? Yes, you probably asked the question wrong, right? But it's how, you know. Like, I'm always like, listen, I get that you want to grow, you're gonna achieve 500,000, but like, as the business grows, though, am I wrong in thinking that you also grow as well? No, you're not wrong. Okay, so like what actually changes for you though on a personal level if you really were to think about it? You know? And you can hear how I'm, you know, phrasing the question and all this stuff and I use my hands and it gets them to fall into the question more. So I'm not gonna get that resistance, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Another thing that we've told you guys many, many times, if you want people to make a decision on a call with you that they've, in many cases, never made before, B2B, a bit less so because they're used to investing in their business many times, right? Especially in B2C, you have to talk to people in a way that they've never been talked to. Otherwise, they're going to think, yeah, I've heard this all before. This is what I get everywhere else, right? Maybe something for next week, Wednesday, you could ask Fabian about some of the hilarious things that he says on calls to pattern interrupt. Because I can guarantee you they've never heard somebody ask them that in their life, right? And I'm gonna let you ask him that. But yeah, pattern interrupt can help certainly by not making you seem like the typical sales rep that they've been talking to, right? Especially when you come from a background where, hey, I've been in sales for 10 years and I know sales. Okay, maybe your prospect knows sales too, and they know how, you do your thing and they want something different. Mix it up, pattern interrupt, be yourself, right? Jeffrey, anything to add before I throw another question? Because the hand is still up.
I'll throw a question out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool.
So you both spoke about like studying the game of sales and always kind of wanting to challenge yourself. Is there any kind of, I guess, books you've read that you'd recommend where you're like, oh, this is
I love this question, by the way,
one of
because everyone asks me, is there a sales book out there that I could just read that's just going to make me a master? Like, unfortunately, there isn't. I haven't found one just yet. Um, I'm still looking. I personally have got more value from mentors. Um, yeah, that's just my thing. There is, yeah, yeah. I mean, I was gonna say there's potentially one book, but like, it's not even. It's like a B2B one, and like it's just a few questions here. It's not really anything as deep as like finding someone that has the results that you want and just learning from them. Like that's
Repetition is the mother of all things.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
it
The
is. Yeah,
simple way to put it is what you're getting, right, with guys like Ahmed being here today, right? Me, Max, Fabian, us answering your questions every single week is like a book that you can ask questions, that's talking to you, that you don't even have to read, but listen. And sure, just like let's take ChatGPT, the quality of your questions determines the quality of your results. And
100%.
right?
Mm.
So yeah, don't be too passive, guys, thinking that, I'm just gonna stand, in this area and it'll all happen, which is the live call. Be proactive. That's why I always love, right? When I know that you bring questions, you come prepared and everything, because that just shows me you want it. You're asking the right questions, right? To level up. So yeah. Another question I have is because you've touched on the great people in sales that you've been around with. I've asked you about rookie mistakes, and we also covered this in another video that we've recently uploaded, guys. But what patterns do you notice with the top 1% of sales reps, right? The guys who do hit 30K plus a month, right? What's
Yeah.
besides what we have been able to identify already, like studying the game, right?
Mm. Yeah, it's always ego, man. Always. It's always I know it already. You can't coach me, or and the funny thing is they're never gonna admit they have that. But that's the thing. Like it's always like I can't get better. But 1% is still pretty broad. I'm talking about, yeah, the average, in that bracket, it's usually ego. Like the ones that are just like, your Jeremy Miners, your Marcos, your Matt Riders, all these elite guys that I've been with, like they're not even human, I think. Like they're just insane. But then they don't really have they have what I've noticed, some have like a god complex, where they think like they're just over everyone, like on top of everyone, some of them. Um, it's very rare to meet someone that's like down to earth and like
I mean, let's just take then people who are managing to hit not 10, but 20, 30K plus commission months, right? They're not
yeah,
just minor, but what's the common
ego.
thing?
Yeah,
Obviously,
it's the ego. It's like I brought a guy literally from 0 to like 27, and it's the ego because it will make you not keep studying. Because the thing that, and that's one thing I'm grateful for is like some of my experiences. I didn't just hop into sales from 0. I built a business before, and learned that if you stop doing the thing that got you the results, you're going to stop getting the results eventually. So if you stop studying every day, you stop investing in yourself, you stop learning, you stop the good habits, you stop waking up and going to bed at the right time, you stop going to the gym, you stop eating, because that is the thing that created the results. So if you stop that, what do you think can happen? Right? You just revert back. I think if you do it for long enough, maybe like 2, 3 years, like you won't forget it. I haven't really forgotten it, but I'm also coaching quite a bit. But yeah, usually if you get to 20, 30K, you think, yeah, I'm good. You can take your foot off the life's like, yeah, you'll be like, I can buy this thing, I can travel now, I'm wearing all the cool clothes, I'm I'm the guy or the girl, like I'm good. And then you'll take your foot off the gas.
you've heard me speak about it many times. I've seen so many people hit 10K month, and then Max has also talked about it. They're looking for the purpose of life, or they just, get the first big car and Rolex and whatnot, and suddenly you're so comfortable that
Mm,
why would you want to, keep pushing outside of your comfort zone, right? To improve, right? Also, when you have 20, 30K, net profit coming in a month, oh, now, more learning, more mentorship, right? The more you know, guys, the more you're in danger. Because you're gonna be like, oh, I don't need training, right? It's just like get me on the calls and I'll crush it. Hmm.
yeah, especially if because the thing is, it is like delusion because a lot of people, again, I just took my mindset has always been I just want to master this stuff. A lot of people think they have, by just being on one offer and just crushing it. And they're like, oh yeah, I know everything about sales. Let me coach now. And but they actually haven't tested themselves on different places. And so like, yeah, it is complacency at the end of the day. It's like thinking you've found the golden key to life. And because you got to 20K once on an offer, that's not really true.
And let me tell you guys, when it comes to mastering sales, right, there's a difference between making 20K a month and mastering sales. Sure.
Is that the
Yes.
mosquito now? You got
Yes, I
it.
told you before we started the call, I was mentioning it.
Yeah.
Anyways, guys, there's a difference between making 20K a month. Like, sure, results speak for themselves to a certain extent, but some offers have incredible marketing, incredible proof, right? Incredible pre-qualification where the sale is really made easy. And then there's offers where you have to be really good, right? I
Yeah.
know people making 20K a month on offers where other people with, double the skill set are making way less. But here's the thing, if you really get really good, right, you will get into those good offers. Because guess what they want? Great sales reps, right? And if you know how to sell, right, and you're resilient and you're willing to do the work, but not just say, hey, I'm great and sit there like a duck, right? You will do what Ahmed said is reach out to businesses, get in touch with the right people, right? Keep aiming at the top, knowing it's possible to go to 20, 30K a month. Aim for those offers, get on them, right? Eventually you'll make that money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
And
100%.
then I've also seen people where, let's take Samuel as an example. He spent so much time training and getting good, right? And still, he never got past 3 to 4K a month. Then he joined the Art of Closing, right? I got him onto a sales team I'm running. 20K a month now. 20 years old, buying his first real estate property. More about that soon. And yeah, study the game. If you think, hey, I want to make some money the next 1 or 2 months, okay. But that says a lot about where your focus really is and how far you want to take it, how big expectations you really have for yourself, right? Or not. So let's take Vaughn, right? Great example. He's talking about he wants to buy a lot more big properties. Do you think he's focusing on how to make money on an offer the next 2 weeks? No, sure, he wants to. We all do. But he's focusing on the long game. That's why he's showing up every single live call, asking the most questions, right? And I remember, Vaughn, after you joined the program, the next day you told me, I've watched most of the videos, I pulled an all-nighter to do it. I'm like, that guy is going to get crazy results. There's a role model. Shout out to that guy. Connect with him, jump on role plays, right? Anyways, that's that. Any more questions from you guys? One last one, maybe from me actually. You've hinted at it a bit already because he had asked you what would you do if you started all over. But knowing what you know now, would you have done anything differently on your journey to progress faster in terms of things that took you a long time to learn? Where you're like, hey, maybe, I could have done it quicker.
I'd just say get good mentorship faster, honestly. Yeah, I mean, that's honestly where I started making the money. Like,
Can I
I
just add
jumped.
to that as well, please? Because Nick referenced Samuel joining, not previously having sales experience and not making more than 3K, but got with the right mentorship and now he's doing, 20K consistently. What would you say characteristics of a good mentor are?
That's good shit. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that question. Characteristics. Well, I'll start off by walking through my process of finding a mentor, which is funny because I usually have found that the guys whose free stuff gets you some results, you know that they are legit. Like if they're putting content out there, you're listening to it, you're implementing it, you see some improvement, that's the guy for you or girl for you, right? Like that's how I found pretty much all the mentors in all the areas of my life, not just sales, that I have. It's because there was something, yeah, the information they had out there was good. And that's important because, and I started off the call like this, there is a lot of people in this space that just are full of shit. They say they know sales. I mean, I've caught too many people. I just find it funny because it's like, you can't fake experience. Like you can't fake skill. So that's my criteria. But in terms of like character traits, yeah, I'd say just like a disciplined person, likable, um, genuine, uh, obviously has the numbers to back up what they're saying. And
How would you verify that? Because these day and
you
age,
can't really, unfortunately, but um, you can only do as
You
much
can get
research
some
as you
proof.
can. You can only do as much research as you can, like I don't know, ask around if you can or stuff like. Even I'm saying this, but I hate these objections when people have that on the call. Like, oh, can I ask someone? Like, but if you're serious about spending a shit ton of money on a mentor, like I would, yeah, look for those things and just try it out. Like, there's not really been an investment I've made where I've completely lost. There's always been some benefit. Um,
do you
but
trust Trustpilot?
would I trust Trustpilot? No, because you can fake that as well, and
We've
pay for
actually got
that.
2 Trustpilot reviews, guys. Shout out to anybody who wants to up that number, right? You know,
Yeah,
some people focus on it, and I know other people who sell high ticket programs. They have thousands of positive reviews because they also have a $5 program that doesn't tell you about the value in the 50K program, for example.
exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
So there's ways around it. I mean, something you could do when it comes to that, right, is have your mentor show you their tracking sheet, right? Pull up a payment processor, show you a business where they run the sales team where they've made at least a few million, right? That's something somebody can pull up like that. That's different than Trustpilot.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Um, but yeah, and the last thing is like if you see they're strong in areas that you're weak in, that's probably the person to learn from as well. It's just all about adding parts, new parts to your personality, you know? Yeah.
Nice one.
Final questions, guys. Anything, you now have the chance.
Literally anything. Like, or
Do you
if
have any
no
regrets in
questions.
dropping out of LSC? Do
Sorry?
you have any regrets in dropping out of LSC?
No, not at all. Yeah, no, because I'm here today. I had some regrets initially. So before LSE, I was supposed to study at Oxford. Um, I had a change of heart because I knew I wouldn't be able to go down this path if I went to Oxford because I knew I would love Oxford and I knew I just want to study. And I knew I wouldn't be able to like spend time doing like online business and stuff like that. So that I regretted initially, but because that was like the dream uni, but um not now because I know I'm in a way better place than
Oxford City.
I'm also only I just turned 24 too, so I'm still pretty young. Like I got into sales maybe when I was like I don't know, 18, 19. I was always the youngest in the rooms and stuff like that, but yeah, so I'll never ever complain. Yeah.
Nice.
Any other recommendations on the lifestyle of a successful sales reps outside of just training, right? I thought about asking you about us living in the same city, which can help with growing your income and network and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's talk about Dubai. I know we talk a lot about Dubai off live call, but lifestyle generally, anything that helps someone succeed, but also in sales specifically, grow the network and so on.
Sure. I mean, if you want to optimize literally, it's better to be in the time zone of your company. So if that means like going to like a Mexico or America, if you run a US company, like think about it. You don't have to make a lot of money, um, but it helps. And then yeah, it's just good habits like good sleep, good diet, you work out, you have friends, your dating life's good, like everything. personally believe has to be there to some degree. It doesn't have to be like 10 out of 10, has to be there. Because if it isn't, um, it's not sustainable.
Exactly. You will
It's not
realize something is
sustainable.
missing and then go into another extreme. That's why balance is so important. And extremes are okay at just a certain point of time, but not too long. Right? For example, I mean, I've mentioned the example of Max or myself, what we had to do, or Fabian. I mean, we all really. Fabian closing deals in the morning in the front of a police car, right? When he's actually meant to focus on his job as a police officer. That was what he needed to do to make 10K plus per month whilst pulling night shifts, right? I don't know, controlling some German protesters or whatnot. Max, who got an opportunity in a business where they said, we're not looking for a closer in the time zone you're in, but we're looking for a US closer. What did he do? Take calls from 12 a.m., right, to 6 in the morning. The guy's now making 30, 35K a month, and he had to do that, right? So also when it comes to your expectations, guys, in the beginning, don't hope for a country to give you the perfect whatever commission and pillows and goodies and whatever, and sure, take a week off every month, whatnot, right? You have to get your skin in the game in the beginning. It's not easy, but it's simple, right? Max put that work in, same with me, right? I was obsessed with the gym and didn't hit the gym for like a month and did 14 15 hour days, getting up in the morning, right? Also training cold calling at the time. God, I'm thankful I never have to do that again. And yeah, then just closing deals in the morning, going to work, closing deals in the evening, and you wanted to go to gym, you wanted to see friends, you wanted to do that, whatever. That was uncomfortable. That's by far the time where I grew the most. I found out the most about myself. And yeah, I proved myself on the fact that I can achieve these things and that I am able to go into the, you know, into the hard zone of just pushing, right? And being uncomfortable, but knowing that's what it takes sometimes to make it happen. I'm sure you've had similar times like that, Ahmed.
Yeah, 100%. You got to do whatever it takes. That was always my mindset into sales. Like it was do or die. Like I had tried too many things, nothing worked. Like it was literally do or die. Like literally. Yeah.
Yeah. Ask yourself, am I showing up like do or die? Then make the necessary adjustments and enjoy the lifestyle, enjoy the rewards that you get to reap on the other side of this, right? And also, guys, so many times, and by the way we structured this program, you can tell that's our philosophy, right? If you don't stop, we won't stop. We're here now, we'll be here next month, we'll be here in a year, and we'll push you until you reach your goals, no matter what. And if you don't stop, you will reach those goals. And if you're in it for the long game, you will succeed, right? Also, you guys in here, like Ronnie and Ivan, right? You're the youngest guys here. And again, the only thing I remember Max saying about this on a podcast is that's the only thing in life he regrets, not starting remote sales earlier, right? He's like, oh, imagine I started that age. I'd be retired with I don't know God how many real estate properties in my portfolio and everything. So yeah, congratulations for all of you starting the journey. Just show up, stay consistent, you know, stay humble and willing to learn. Have your glass rather half empty than half full, and always see what can I learn to improve and progress from there.
100.
And
And one thing I'll say, I know I haven't touched on it much, is like, yeah, connect to your goals, like visualize, like, manifestation is a big part also of this process too. Like, I haven't touched on it. It's pretty big for me, but you can't neglect that also playing a role in your success as well.
for sure,
Yeah.
100%. It's a common trait I see in all the people that I've gotten to know that really, you know, have achieved great success. It's that they were very clear on what they wanted to get out of this in the first place, other than money. Cool, okay. If you know you're gonna make it, then act accordingly. So boxed off. Eventually I'll have all that. What then? The sooner you have those thought processes, again, just like being able to really fulfill the service of sales, which is creating an experience, right? Helping other people. If you focus on that even more, it's not just commission. You're getting so much more. And if the reward, right, just through your perspective, the way that you frame and close yourself on that, right? If the reward that way becomes so much bigger, you're so much more willing to do what it takes, and it suddenly becomes easy putting in the work because you now realize, wow, that's so much more I'm getting out of this than just the quick commission and whatnot. So yeah, definitely. And like I said, visualizing, for example, I don't know how long I've had the Burj Khalifa as my background on my phone before moving out to Dubai, right? Or saying, hey, at XYZ time, I will hit XYZ income goal, right? Saving that 2 years later, boom, on track, doing exactly that, and stuff like that, right? Also speaking things into existence, where something I did is I took my private Instagram account and made it the account where I really share everything and kind of document my journey because I knew everybody would see it. And I said, oh, everybody can watch. You know what they won't see? They won't see me stop. And if I don't stop, nobody will stop me. And I'll win. It's that simple. Because some of you guys asked that before, like, hey, maybe I won't tell my friends and whatnot. Are you really betting on yourself? Are you really confident? Right? Do it. Works. It's been a pleasure, Ahmed. We've gone quite a bit on the call and
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah.
another few hours for sure. And yeah, thank you very much for being here with us today and dropping all the value that you have. There was a lot of it. And obviously, we're going to upload this call for you guys to rewatch it. And we'll take it from there.
100%. Good to be here. Happy to share. Always do. I'll never get bored of sales, so I love doing this stuff. So yeah, my pleasure, guys.
Thank you very much once again. And yeah, talk to you and see you soon, brother.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great evening, guys. Talk soon. Bye bye.
Thank you.